This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints, discount prices at miniaturemarket.com.
Hello everybody, welcome to Comic Saturday. Now, we're going to move things around a little bit, and this is going to be a bi-weekly show, which I'm very excited about because it's something I've always wanted to do. But one week is going to be comic books, next week is going to be sci-fi movies and stuff like that. So everything's going to be bi-weekly. Eventually, when we run out of RC stuff, we may move one of these to a Friday if it's popular enough and make it a weekly thing. We'll leave that totally up to you. Today, what we're talking about is something that a lot of people don't talk about, and that is the Avengers Defenders War. It is the first real crossover where for a few months they went from one issue to another issue, from the Defenders to the Avengers. Now, a lot of crossovers were created basically to bump up other magazines to get more buys and get the subscription rates up, and people discover different characters and such. This really worked with Infinity War, Crisis of Infinity Earth, and things like that in the 80s. But in the early 70s, this concept was just a giant war, which featured around the evil eye. So without further ado, why don't we go down, and I've got a little slideshow. We're going to talk right over it. We're going to kind of give you a brief overview of the war, and then we'll come back and we'll get my assessment of it and why you should read it. So without any further ado, let's head down and get started. Where this really starts is Fantastic Four 54. This is where the evil eye first makes its appearance, but this issue here we're going to talk about on a later date, especially since we're doing a whole thing with the Fantastic Four. The evil eye was guarded by Preston John, and the Human Torch wanted to use it to free his girlfriend, but that's a story for another time. This evil eye becomes the focal point of this entire war. Now, it all starts here in the Defenders, where they are trying to help the Black Knight, who is Stone, and they're being swayed to find this evil eye, and there are pieces all around the world that they have to find and gather together to create the evil eye. Now, what this creates, as you can see going into Avengers 116, is all kinds of different matches as they are fighting on different parts of the Earth. The Silver Surfer versus the Vision and Scarlet Witch, a tremendous battle that was at hand. And they're trying to get pieces of this to get it together. Submariner versus Captain America, and of course Sunfire in the background trying to get that piece of the eye for his own thing. But the evil eye, one side was convinced that the other shouldn't have it, and the other side was convinced it would help the Defenders help the Black Knight, who was turned to stone. But this one right here at Defenders 10 is where some massive battles take place, and one of the biggest one is always Thor versus Hulk. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? And this really was the issue where everything kind of came to a head, and then would finish here in Avengers 118, where everybody would, of course, face Dormammu and Loki, who were behind this whole scheme, causing these two teams to confront each other, trying to get pieces of the eye, when, in all honesty, it was really just a scheme by Dormammu. What happens here is basically Dormammu recruits Loki to kind of come to his a scheme where he had the idea that he had a weird honor code that he vowed never to invade Earth's dimension, but there was another way around it, and he had a plan to get around it and get even with his his enemy, Doctor Strange. One of the real cool things here was Doctor Strange versus the Black Panther and the Mantis, again fighting for a piece of that evil eye, as they both are searching out for it. One to prevent the Defenders from getting it, and the Avengers trying to get it in hopes that this would cure the Black Knight. This turns out to be just a wonderful battle. And of course, as we spoke earlier, the Silver Surfer versus the Vision and Scarlet Witch, one of the most powerful Avengers against one of the most powerful Defenders, the Cosmic, who Silver Surfer was trapped on Earth at this time, and at the edge of a volcano they were going to do battle. And of course, old friends from the early days of Marvel, when the Invaders were together, Captain America and the Submariner do battle, Hawkeye and Iron Man do battle, but the one that just stands out is this tremendous battle between Hulk and Thor. Many people taking either side. People always wondering who would win if Thor didn't use his hammer. And this just beautiful scene right here where they just grab each other, after hours of battle, and they just struggle to see who is stronger, not giving any inch. And then finally they both the Avengers and Defenders figure it out, and they stop the actual needless violence, as they find out that they have been bamboozled. And this is where, when they finally have it all together, that Dormammu gets it together and then betrays Loki, basically saying that he has his own ambitions and what he had planned was ultimate deception. And by having his dimension basically take over Earth, so all Earth's people start to turn into these demons as he starts to combine with the evil eye, trying to combine the entire dimension to his liking. And, well, the Defenders and the Avengers are not going to have it, and they were going to fight back. Coming up, this really shows in Avengers 118 here, where they're all together and they're going to fight, and everybody gets involved. And one of the things that really blows this issue away for its time was how many different heroes were in there. As you can see, people being turned into these creatures. S.H.I.E.L.D. was involved, Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, even Dracula. And I don't want to ruin it because I don't want to show you too much, because what I want you to do is go out and get this graphic novel and really take a look at this and how spectacular this was and how it all fits together. Eventually, they are trying to make their way to Dormammu, and all of the heroes are trapped in this quicksand, except for the Scarlet Witch, as always, who is one of the most powerful Avengers with her hexes and how they manipulate things. She eventually gets up and gets Dormammu in the back, which absorbs him into the evil eye, and then the full power of the evil eye goes into Loki's face, causing him to drive him completely mad. Which, of course, at the very end here, as you can see, everything's turned back to order. The Fantastic Four is involved, Spider-Man's involved. Even the Watcher knew what a cataclysmic event this was and was present to observe this entirety. And as always, the heroes prevail in what was a very rare crossover in the early days of Marvel. Now, this crossover you can get in a graphic novel, or you can buy the issues individually. It'll be a little costly, but well worth it. This was something so different, and I remember as a kid being so engaged in this. And Scarlet Hero turns out to be the hero of the day, saving the universe, and finally everybody going back to normal. But there's so much to this story that I've left out because I want you to discover it yourself, and I think it's something that you really have to experience. One of the very first crossovers and big events spanning over a few issues. There now through the 70s and stuff like that, there'd be a guest appearance, and then it would cross over to somebody else. else's magazine. You know, it'd be, you know, a 2 magazine thing, comic event. This spanned over a few months. And probably 4 or 5 issues, 6 issues, the whole events of this Avengers Defenders War. It is a must read, and it is a little known little crossover event that not many people talk about, and I wanted to bring to you guys here. Now, hopefully you are enjoying this, and this is helpful. You know, it's not long and drawn out. I try to keep things nice and tight and give you information that you really need to go check out some of these fantastic events or books, maybe a little bit of history that you may not know. And we plan on doing quite a bit of these. The next one we have up is the first 5 issues of the Fantastic Four, as we plan on doing the first 600 issues of Fantastic Four, which could take years, but hey, you know, why not, right? We've got time. So if you like it, please let me know in the comments. And as always, subscribe here. Next week is Sci-Fi Saturday. Be sure to check out as we talk about one of my favorite movies of all time, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Join us next week, and then in 2 weeks, Fantastic Four 1 through 5. And then we will be back with even more events and more movies each and every Saturday on Rob Oren's Tabletop and Hobby World. Until next time, we'll see you soon.